Welcome to the Community Preservation Act Committee meeting Friday, March 8th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube, the WRPS channel. Call to order. We have myself, Steve O'Donnell, Tom Reagan, Joe Reese, Charlie Williams, and Peter Ewell on the phone. Welcome.
Long time no see.
Want to preface this with Charlie Williams. I asked him to go ahead and pick up our mailbox. It was quite full, and as we get into our first agenda item, I'm going to make a statement and kind of explain why things have been going the way they are. So with the first agenda item, it's election of officers. And I want to begin by apologizing for not calling a meeting in the last few months. Due to work and personal issues, my schedule was such that my availability was unpredictable. We are without a vice chair, a role required to run meetings in the absence of the chair. To my knowledge, Member-at-Large John Hennessy did not apply for reappointment. We haven't had appointments from Conservation or Housing in years. And as I checked the boards and committees database today, I learned that Derek Ewell did in fact become reinstated on October 3rd, 2023. And I did send him a text shortly as I was going through that because I didn't know that he had sought reappointment. But he apologized he couldn't be here. He had other plans, and that's my fault. So we are without a vice chair. And in light of my inability to call a meeting in the last number of months, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to vote, but it's important we do an election of officers every year. So that said, I'm willing to continue as the chair if you'll have me. We do have a number of items and we'll get into the what we have on the list. Charlie has a list. I pulled the list from the CPC email, of which I was locked out for a period of time due to being linked to John's cell phone, but I did resolve that earlier this week.
I would make that motion to have you stay on, Steve, as that. If you're willing to do it, and I know I appreciate it.
Thanks, Charlie.
I'll second it.
Just documenting.
Yep.
Will John and Derek be applying for?
We have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call. Tom?
In favor?
Pete?
Yep. Thank you, Steve.
Joe?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes, I'm in favor.
And myself is an aye. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Joe.
Is John and Derek applying?
So Derek did reapply, and he is a member at large appointed by the selectmen. I just wasn't aware that he did. I thought I checked it a few months ago. I thought I didn't see his name. I don't know why I'm misremembering that. But he said he didn't lapse in time. His appointment was effective as of October 2nd, 2023. So I don't know if I just misread it, I missed it somehow, or just was under the impression that I wasn't reapplying, but he did in fact get reappointed. And again, I sent him my apologies and sent him the link and asked him if he could join, but he had already had plans, understandably so. John, the clerk's office had reached out a number of times. He had indicated that he was willing to get reappointed, but something must have come up because he hasn't followed through. He's been removed from our listing on the committees and boards database.
Who else is up for reappointment?
Good question.
Off the top of your head.
I actually have it up. So Joe, your term ends October 3rd, 2025. Derek is good through now, 10/2/26. Charlie's good through June of this year. You have a yearly appointment, Charlie, so planning board will have to vote you back in June. I'm good through June 2025. Tom, you're good through the end of the year, December 31st, 24. And Pete is good through June of 24. So Pete, you'll need to get reappointed through the Board of Selectmen as well. If you
Okay,
intend to do
I'll
so.
it, son.
Just want to make a note.
Thank you.
Okay. Steve Red. Appointment end dates or term end dates. Okay, so the gap we have right now is actually, let me do this first. Tom, if you'll continue, I would make a motion that you continue as treasurer.
I'm happy to do so.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, roll call. All those in favor? Joe,
In favor?
Charlie,
Yes, in favor.
Pete,
Yes.
Tom,
He's a great guy, so I say yes.
Yeah. I myself am an aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. So
Yep.
now let's move on. We need a vice chair. It's important that, if something were to ever happen, we need to continue to keep things moving. And without a vice chair, there is no mechanism to allow that to happen.
Would Charlie be interested? Or can Tom hold both positions? Whoever.
Yeah, you shouldn't have someone holding both positions. Charlie, I know that you chair of the planning board right now too, aren't you?
I am still active on the planning board, yeah. It, for a few more years, so it
No,
would be,
aren't you the chair right now or no?
I'm not the chair right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Don't jinx me.
I thought you were acting chair at something at some point.
I was at some point, but no, that's simply gone back. Hopefully that's a one and done.
Good, good. Does anyone have any interest of being vice chair to be able to step in? Really, that's all it is the ability to step in and run meetings, to call meetings if I am unable.
I mean, I guess I could do it if, somebody had one.
I'll make that a motion.
Second,
Steve, as long as you're willing to kind of walk me through it, I can probably.
No,
fill it out.
absolutely. I am. And I think
Okay.
you're a great selection for that role. So roll call vote. Pete,
Yes.
Tom,
yes.
Joe,
Absolutely, yes.
Charlie,
Yes,
and myself as an aye. It's unanimous. Yeah, absolutely. There really isn't much to it. Typically it's getting CC'd on emails with the commission. You know, making sure that we're processing bills. The other thing is, might confer for certain things, you and I planning kind of thing. But there really isn't much that goes into it. We have a fairly simple process, I think, on this committee, and that's on purpose. And as we get into later agenda topics, I think we can learn about how folks may, or other community preservation act committees might make things a bit more complex. All right, good. So I think that's sufficient for roles. You know, we did have a secretary position, but I think moving forward on the hiring process for an admin kind of negates the need for that. Unless, you know, folks think otherwise.
No,
Well, I
I
was
agree.
following, oh, sorry. I
No,
was following up on projects in the field.
That's right.
But-
I don't know that we had a title for that, though. That was kind of a, so the chair can appoint, and that's when I get back to, you know, Charlie taking the letters and stuff out of the mailbox. So we run our committee based on Robert's Rules of Order. And with that, the chair can appoint really any member to do any task. And so really that was an appointment to manage those projects. We did, I think, get a consensus that it made sense to do that. But I don't think there was a truly a role. If you'd like one, Joe, happy to give you one.
No, thank you. I just drove by watching what was going on and that was it.
Yeah, no, and it's very helpful. I appreciate it.
It was really nothing that I did.
You say that, but it's worth something. All right. So I think we're good on that. I have this as an item here, but I think I want to pass over bicentennial replacement study and go through, review and prioritize received applications first, and then circle back to that. Do I hear a motion to take these out of order?
Motion, take it out of order.
Second,
All right, roll call. Charlie,
Yes,
Pete. Pete,
Yeah,
thank you. Joe,
Yes,
Tom,
yes,
and myself as an aye, that's unanimous. All right. Good. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now because I think that'll make it a bit easier. Because I did grab some, and I think you probably have some duplication there, Charlie, from the mailbox. So that way it'll save us some time.
sounds good.
So what I want to do is we're gonna go through you guys see my screen all right?
hmm
no.
What?
I see it.
No,
How do
well,
I get to?
I'll talk through it. You probably have to slide over, Joe. You might have to just swipe to the right or something, or to the left, if you're
No.
on the phone.
It's not letting me.
No, I'll talk through it at any
Okay.
rate. So I was aware of the bicentennial park replacement study, so I put it on here. I want to confirm, Charlie, do we have an application for that? Or Joe, did you submit one?
Yes,
So
I did.
Okay, so hang on, let me just go through them. Listen, I apologize. I have both girls home from college. It's
It's
spring
okay.
break this week, so if it's too loud in the background, just let me know.
Yeah, I haven't heard a peep so far.
Okay, good. Um. So I do not have one of those applications. The only one I have from you, Joe, is the, for the park commission is the Market Street, Spring Lakes, Reed's Pond one.
I definitely put one in. I had it stamped and everything.
All right. So if you had it stamped, I'll follow up with the clerk.
Well, she just stamped it and it went in your mailbox. Huh,
So maybe it went in after was it recently, Joe? It may have gone in after I picked these up.
no, it was
No.
in there.
Should have been
Hang
there a
on.
while ago.
Okay, so that's that one,
It should have been the same date.
that one.
Believe, I believe I put both of them in at the same time.
What's the Spring Lake one? Joe, if you don't mind.
For a study on architect design study of going forward with a project.
All right, I'll call it
There's no timeline on it.
land use
I'm not
study.
too
Is that
concerned.
sufficient?
Yeah,
I don't want to dig into
yes.
it just yet. I want to get the list done first.
Yeah,
So
I'm more
that's an open
concerned.
space project.
Yes, Park Department project. I believe the property's under our jurisdiction. I'm not positive,
But
but
we
I
can call it
believe it is.
recreation.
That's under recreation
Recreation.
on the permit, on the application.
What's the ask?
50,000.
Okay, and it was submitted by Joe Reese. Parks.
Parks, yes.
All right, and any matching funds on that one?
No,
What was the submission to your recollection of the bicentennial park replacement study?
an engineer study on how to go about putting in 8 or 6 lanes, whatever the school needs, and getting a price.
What was the
And
number? What was the cost that you
I
submitted?
believe, I believe it was 20,000.
20,000?
Yes. If you want, I can dig through my paperwork and get a copy of it.
I think we're gonna need it, Joe, because it's not here, and to be honest with you, Joe, your other one is stamped from the clerk on October 2nd, but it was not in the mailbox.
Maybe
Uh,
I already gave it to you, Steve, prior to that one.
Maybe.
I know I turned it in.
I don't think it doesn't need to hold us up, though, I don't think.
No, it does. I still want to talk through it. Because I know we've been talking about it for quite a while. I'll look through my paperwork and see if I can find it after the fact, but we'll leave it on the list. So other than that, Charlie and I spoke just to kind of briefly and touched on 2 submitted from Dave Taylor. One for the Veterans 24 Tree Memorial, and another one for additional funding for the ADA/Butterfly Park. And I saw in the email that I have, Charlie, he had the late application from last year, I think, included, and then refilled it out for this year with additional funds.
Okay, so I do have 4 applications from him, and I just wanted to touch on them.
Mhm.
So I have one that says corner of Eastwater and Union. Actually, I have 2 that say the corner of Eastwater and Union. And one of
Yep.
them has a summer 2024 date, and one of them has a summer 2023.
Yep.
So the difference is that the summer of 2024 one is a $55,000 request, and then the summer of 2023 one is a $60,000 request. So I'm not sure whether that's a typo, but the
I think
application.
it's because he had the wrong previous funding. I
Okay.
looked at those. So we declined those because he missed the window for final app and never got back to us
Okay,
last year.
okay, yeah, it is the butterfly wall. Okay, I saw that. So yep, that one we have, and the current amount on this application is 55,000, which is what you have.
Yep.
And then the next one I have from Dave there's 2 of them, and it's the same situation where summer 2024-25. So the 100 rear Linden Street is 40,000 for the Veterans 24 Tree Memorial.
And he's got a $15,000 matching grant on that, I believe.
Okay. And then, I can go through the
Yeah,
rest
what
of
else do you
them.
have? Please do.
All right, so the next one I have is from the Historical Commission, and it is $4,800 for third floor attic power panel. Install new power panel in the attic for the power for emergency and exit lights, future electrical requirements, and install 4 exit and EBUs. So those are emergency backup lighting units. So that's 4,800.
And that's
Where is this for?
the GAR hall?
That's for the GAR hall, sorry.
Hmm. And how much do they want for that? 4,800?
At 4,800.
And that's submitted by, I assume, Dennis Maloney
It comes from Jim Paul from Rockland Historical.
or Jim Paul. Okay.
We're hoping it sets up the possibility of having a climate controlled room on the third floor for archival purposes.
So
So,
that'd be awesome.
yeah,
Now we just get that sprinkled.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through the GAR hall ones first, and then I'll get to Tom's. So the next one is a Rockland Historical Commission again, from Jim Paul. And it is 9,950.
Okay.
And that is for the first floor renovation of meeting room, bathroom, office, and kitchen
At the GAR hall?
at the GAR hall, yes.
So we have another one there from Dennis Maloney at Hearts of Post Memorial for a much larger number for restoration for the first floor.
Okay, this says, this application is October 23. But it does not have a stamp on it from there, so I'm not sure. So, yeah, hang on.
they may overlap. I think you got two people submitting stuff for the same thing.
Okay,
Interesting. So what was Jim's request specifically for again?
first floor renovation of meeting room, bathroom, office, and kitchen. Now, there's a quote from an electrician, and it looks like it might be just the 9,950 is just what it looks like to be electrical.
Interesting.
So this looks like it's just electrical work.
So this
I
is
think they have to
electrical.
replace the ceiling fixtures with LEDs.
Yeah, it says remove 11 existing ceiling lights, rewire 11 new ceiling lights, and lights in 3 switches, add 3 wall receptacles in meeting room, remove existing light. This is all electrical for $99.50.
That's the room everybody goes in on the holiday stroll where the table's set up and the guy dressed up as 17th century Santa Claus.
That's the town secret.
Yeah.
It is the town
You know, you
secret.
don't wait in that long line down at Magoon Biggins. Go there instead. My kids love them.
The ceilings got some peeling issues and the bathrooms are a bit tired.
Yeah, I think that's a separate one we have from Dennis. All right, what else you got, Charlie?
So the next one is from Pam Ryan, who works with the Historical Commission, and it's for 9,500. And it is the name of the project is Grand Army of the Republic War Sketchbook. And this basically is conservation treatment plan to clean, mend torn pages, repair binding of this volume, digitally scan all pages in this record book. And 95 is the total cost. There's no matching grant. They're going to share the digital copy with the library as well as the school libraries. And she's got a bunch of stuff here included in the packet from the Northeast Document Conservation Center.
I think I brought that up to you guys before I mentioned it. It's really a remarkable book, and it's been
Yeah,
sitting,
it is.
it's been sitting in a drawer with, you know, certainly not climate control. And I think when Pam pulled it out of the drawer, there was a baby bat nesting in there, and it's really something worthwhile, especially being able to digitize it so anybody can see it at any time.
That's huge. I mean, I'm totally in favor of that because we don't want to be losing this stuff. It's just the stuff that's in there is priceless.
It's like this big coffee table size book. I think it's like, I don't know, 14 by 18, and it's just it's really nice. It's cool.
Yep.
That's what
I
these
agree.
funds are for.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Yeah, we'll go through these in detail too, once we get them all documented here. What's up next, Charlie?
The next one I have is again from the Historical Commission. On behalf of Tom has submitted it for 49,650. And the brief description of the project is headstone restoration at the Old Town Cemetery, one of the oldest cemeteries in Rockland, containing graves dating back to the Revolutionary War. It's suffered neglect over the years. Restoration needed to preserve and document an important part of the town's history.
Which
And,
cemetery was that?
The one across the street from Pleasant Street. It's a small one on the corner where Liberty turns left and splits with Pleasant Street.
Oh, so it's
No,
the one on
Yeah,
the left there.
Old Mount,
does it have a name?
Old,
As much as we can
Old Mount
find out, it's
Pleasant.
only called Old Town Cemetery. Sometimes they've called it Old Pleasant Street Cemetery, but it's not. It's just Old Town Cemetery. I
Pete, what
actually
were you
have I found something, well, actually Pam Ryan found something that documents it more. But it was gifted to Rockland. Actually, it was gifted to Abington before Rockland split off back in the early 1800s, I want to say. But it's got some pretty remarkable headstones, and I'm willing to bet there's headstones that are under the turf that we don't even know about. So it's in dire need of attention.
Pete, what were you calling it? I heard you calling it something.
I was saying, I've always just called it Old Mount Pleasant.
Okay, Old Mount Pleasant. Okay. And then I have one more.
Go ahead.
So the last one, again, from the Historical Commission, from Jimmy Paul. It's the Tramp House at 198 Rear Spring Street. The amount is 16,000. The 16,000 is for phase 3 of the restoration project to preserve Rockland's Tramp House, to complete the front and side porch work, install concrete floor inside, work on interior walls, sorry.
So, store, floor, interior walls, and what else?
Front and side porch work, install concrete floor inside, and work on the interior walls.
It's called porch work. Okay. All right. And so one that I didn't hear from you was we got an email to us. It's interesting. It was stamped and then emailed to me by Doug. Was from Dennis Maloney from Hearts of Post Memorial. And it was the GAR Hall first floor restoration, which included plastering, painting, refinishing of floors
Okay.
across all.
And
So
then the only other correspondence that was in the mailbox was a letter from the Registry of Deeds, basically giving an update on the community preservation funding for 2024.
Oh, okay. What does it say?
So it says, it gives Rockland's amounts for, 2023 was 102,275. In 2022, it was 125,750. 2021 was a banner year, 204,075. And then, 2020 was 169, and then the first year was 63.
Okay. So let me just write some of this up. Review. Submitted. Apps. Listed to be prioritized. And then, one other piece of mail. From Registry of Deeds.
So Plymouth County Register of Deeds regarding Community Preservation Act surcharge funds collected in 2023. That was the title.
Okay.
And then Steve, I don't know if you want to, when we go through, we can talk about the other project for the rail trail once we get to that point.
That, we don't have a submission on that though, right?
There's no submission on that, so I think we should we'll talk about that, and I'll get one from them.
Well,
him,
if we
that's-
don't, so that's the thing, if we don't have one, so what I think we need to do, and then I'll entertain discussion on this, is due to our lack of meeting. I do want to get a few of these articles into for town meeting this year. And we have an argument to make for special town meeting warrant in the fall, if they have one, and I mean, for the last, God knows how many years they've had one in the fall, so I'm assuming we're gonna have one in the fall. That we can work through and process, because I think there are some questions on some of these. But I do want to get a few of these over, and there's great interest from other leadership within the town, especially on the bicentennial replacement study. So that's why I want to prioritize them. So maybe we get, one or two over and funded now. And then we work over the next few months to, and exempt the final, because we still need final apps from these folks, but we haven't really given an opportunity to submit final apps because we haven't reviewed the pre-apps. That's my thought. I'd like to hear what you guys think about that plan.
I think it's a great idea. On the historical part, Tom could probably answer this a little better. What is the priority, the quickest project that they need done today? And ones that could be put off, maybe?
I would say probably the sketchbook and the tramp house.
Those are your priorities?
Yeah. The tramp house, the longer that we let it sit, then like the other work that we've done kind of,
Mhm.
deteriorates from the elements. So I feel like we need to finish it. The sketchbook, just because it's relatively speaking short money and it needs to be taken care of.
I think it's such a boon for the town too.
Yeah. I mean, I love my cemetery, but it's been not like that for 20 or 30 years. So not to say that Pete hasn't been taking care of it. Sorry, Pete.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think we have the time to process all of these in time for town meeting.
I would agree 100% with that, and I think that, especially considering some of the questions we still have, that, sorry, I get some fire calls going on here. So that I would agree wholeheartedly with Tom's, assessment of that. And like I say, I'll bring up some more when we talk a little bit further, but I think that's a good start for sure.
The thing
And
about
including the bicentennial replacement study.
the thing about the GAR hall, and don't get me wrong, I love the building. I think it's really important, but it is a privately owned building. It's not owned by the town. And, you know, we're doing them a solid going to bat to take care of it. So, you know, I think you need to take care of the other stuff that's directly owned by the town first.
Right. And I would say that, you know, for qualifications, this is a slam dunk. This is a slam dunk with regards to historical projects. Reading through the first floor restoration, a lot of it's maintenance. It's paint. It's
Yeah.
replastering of the ceiling. It's another coat of finish on the floor, resurfacing of the floor.
It's a
That
great
doesn't, I mean, I guess resurfacing the floor, there's an argument to make.
Yeah.
But painting is an absolute no. Like, we have to go back to him and say, you have to strike some of these things because they don't qualify.
Falls under maintenance.
Right. And
Yeah.
that doesn't qualify. Really, for historical funds, as I understand it, it's for
preservation.
preservation of, but not maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue if the ceiling caving in, you know, it's
Right.
preservation, it's maintenance, but it's beyond maintenance. But
Right.
if you're just
Same thing for the,
refinishing the floors, you know, it's nice, it needs it, but
right.
Is
Right.
this declared a national landmark?
it is on the list of
Registry?
historic places, yeah, registry.
So yeah,
So
the site qualifies. It's just what work within the site qualifies.
Supposedly, once all the living veterans have passed, that it reverts to ownership of the town. But that could be, you know, 30 or 40 years, maybe 50 years from now.
where it's a historical landmark, I think the maintenance might be able to be done. I'm not positive. Something that you might
No.
want to reach out to Stuart on.
You can't. I've read through it. You can't mark it as maintenance. It has to be capital improvements, and capital improvements are essentially net new. So like you could, I think, in my view, if it was to restore the floors, that would qualify. I have similar issue with the electrical first floor work, putting LED lights in. We would need to put in period correct lighting. It could be LED lit, but it can't be just a, you know, a general fixture from 2024. It would need to be at least look periodic.
Right.
Correct.
But we like what we did with the third floor, where
Right.
Jim Paul was able to find, you know, chandelier type fixtures that,
Mhm.
whereas they may not be 1890, but they were like early 20th century appropriate.
Right.
And then you can just use LED bulbs.
Right. Exactly. So I think that one, I'm all for it. I think we just need to have it a little bit more defined. And I think we need to go back to Dennis in the post and say that they need to strip out, you know, some of those provisions.
I don't know if Jim Paul even knows about the submission by Dennis. So, I mean, I definitely would want to, me personally, talk to Jim and say, hey, do you know about this? He wants the new floors and the painting, and what do you think? And he
Yeah.
probably has a valid evaluation of that.
Okay. I can I can flip that over to historical, so you guys can review it.
Sure.
Great. Um, so we're going to. Anything we're not gonna act on, I'm just gonna put a 0 for now. Electrical fixtures. We'll reprioritize that, but I'm gonna put it as a 9 for now, because I think that can, we all agree that can wait. No, not that one, this one. The climate controlled room for historical documents, is there an agreement from GAR to house the town's historical documents there?
There's not a written proposal, no.
I would like to hear what others think, but I would argue that we would need that.
Wouldn't that go up the library? Or be put in the library where, I believe the library's got one of those rooms.
They do. I just don't know if they have the room. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever seen the storage room we have in McKinley School. It's about, 200, 300 square foot room and just boxes of stuff.
Right. And a lot of times you would have that for historical or, important pieces that you put some things on display and you kind of rotate them through, right? You would put things on display, other things stay in storage, and you kind of rotate them out. And so you could rotate them into the library or the Dyer library, but then, have a place to store them where they're protected. And I think it's a great plan, but without GAR being on board, we're just renovating a room.
Yeah, is there any way we can research, putting in the library and finding out if there's room?
Sure. But I think it's not, but yeah, definitely worth exploring.
What was the cost of that again?
Not
Well,
a
that's
ton.
just the electrical. It's not the actual creation of the room. They're actually just wiring the electrical work up there, so we can do that with a different project.
I thought
Right
you
now,
said something,
It's just
something in
attic
the
space
attic.
now. It's just attic space now.
Yeah.
But that's really the only open available space in the building. Outside of the, the shooting range in the basement, which you probably don't want to use.
Is it really? That's awesome.
It's not creepy at all down there.
So I love the idea of it. I think there needs to be written agreement. I mean, I don't think the cost is really, I'm not worried about cost. We have plenty of money in the historical fund. That if it was more fleshed out with a full plan and agreement from the Hearts of Post and, the full plan to create a climate controlled room, including
Mhm.
electrical, would be more, is an easier sell both to the state if we're ever challenged,
Sure.
as well as to the townspeople.
Oh, and I think there definitely has to be a written agreement. It's just because, we kind of butt heads with the GAR people where they don't seem to recognize the funding that we're giving them, and they should be offering more. Like, I mean, at a minimum, there should be more access to the town to go in the building.
Mhm.
And they kind of treat it as like, their little building, which, will begrudgingly let people in for the holiday stroll, but we're going to watch them, make sure they don't touch anything, that kind of deal. So, yeah, I think it'd be smart to have something in writing. Yes.
Is all this stuff insured?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's the problem, is that they're finding spaces to put it in a historical, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, you guys don't really have much of a budget to speak of.
No.
Well, I understand why they're watching everyone when they're coming through the building. They don't want swords disappearing or a hat disappearing and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I understand the concern, but They don't have insurance on this stuff?
I
Are you talking
mean,
about GAR?
oh, I thought you meant
Yeah.
the historical stuff. I'm sure they have insurance. But their budget is very shoestring. I mean, in the wintertime, they keep the building at 50 degrees just to keep the heating prices down. So, no, I thought you meant our archives for historical stuff, which we have no appraisals or anything really for insurance purposes.
That's another thing you might want to check out with the library then, to see if this would fall under their insurance. If it's housed up there.
Sure.
If that's the route you guys want to go. I'm just throwing ideas at you.
No, I agree with you, Joe. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, so I think we push back on the, I love this idea. It just needs to be fleshed out.
Sure.
Same thing with this one. We need more detail on the first floor electrical renovation. Create a new column.
Mr. Chairman, are you looking for a motion to table those items or?
No, we're just
Um,
going through and prioritizing right now. And then we'll take a motion at the end to make sure everyone's in agreement. I don't really want to document all these individual things as motions. And I don't think we need to. I think we can have a discussion and then certify it. Need more. Fleshed out. Want a full plan and written agreement to house from Hearts of Host. More detail about period correct features to qualify. And then on the Hearts of Submission, sending to historical mission for review and advisement. Okay.
I'd like to still submit the cemetery.
Cemetery, I think would be good. We have to now balance that. I'll put a 3 here just for historical projects. And let's do the same thing for parks. Bicentennial and Spring Lake land use study.
You can table that for
I
next
think we're
meeting.
all, yeah, I would say we're all probably, well, we can't table it. We need to move forward because Doug wants an answer on what we're submitting for at least a list.
Yeah, but we can put that off. That's what I'm
You
saying.
mean the Spring Lake one?
Yeah, that's not urgent.
Yeah.
Bicentennial to me is, park commissioners are all in agreement that bicentennial is our number one concern.
I agree with that. I think bicentennial track replacement is huge. I've heard input from a number of people, both past and present folks that have held office in support of this. I think it would be a huge win for the town, especially the 150th anniversary of the town, to put forward work to repair or not repair, replace the track at Bicentennial Park, which is in itself a commemorative park for the town.
So if we leave out the 2 GIR items, it's still what, 240, 250. That's not
I'm not worried about.
outrageous.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
worried about, when we'll talk about, because we did get fund information from October. And we'll go through that after the fact. We can talk through that. Okay, and so I think that just leaves the two submitted from Dave, one from Veterans Council, it's the 24 tree memorial. And then the additional funding for the ADA park, which is what we called it initially when it was submitted in 2020. He calls it the Butterfly Park. So just I'll talk briefly through these because I read through them. Behind the stadium is the grove. It's mostly pine trees now, but those pine trees were never intended. They were hardwood trees that were planted, 24 of them, for residents who passed away in war. I think, was it World War One?
I think it was World War II,
World War Two?
Vietnam, and Korea.
Okay.
And I think there's additional ones for the past 2 wars, 3 wars. How many
I
we've
don't think,
had?
no,
Two
they
of-
never planted new trees for that.
No, but I think that's gonna be,
Oh, that's the plan. Okay. So yeah, the original trees were planted to support them. Some have fallen down. Some pines have been allowed to grow in that space. And so the plan is to essentially raise it, level it, and plant 24 new trees
yes.
in hardwood trees in support of those members, those residents who have passed away and fighting for our country.
I don't know if Pete has the exact number of trees that have to be replaced. Pete, are you there? Pete?
He's lit up like he's there.
Oh, he's unmuted. He muted himself. There you go. Go ahead and talk, Pete. You might have muted your phone itself. I have this here. Let's see, look, 55, here it is. So brief description of the project: remove existing trees and shrubs, add hardscaping for pedestrians and seating and eating areas, rail trail kiosk, rehab. No. What is this? That's Eastwater Union. I'm reading the wrong one. $40,000 one. There it is. Remove pine trees, level area, plant 24 trees to memorialize fallen soldiers, 1946, World War II. Granite corners and arches, ADA compliant. The 24 trees were originally planted in 1947. Since then, the trees have all died or partially destroyed. Area is something. We'll clean up, remove hazardous trees and replace with healthy 24 trees. Add parking, sitting area, and ADA compliance. And there is a $15,000 matching grant.
So total was what, 30?
No, total is 55.
55,
The ask is 40.
40.
I think it's a good idea.
This was a project that I was gonna start up, me and Brian Martin, and Dave came up because the veterans asked him as well. And we passed it off to Dave to do, and he was way ahead of us in design and everything else. So I think it's a good project for the veterans, and it's only a couple more things in that whole, from town hall to the senior center, and that whole area would be, really nice between the schools, the park, the stadium, the Pine Grove, the new softball field, the new turf field. We're gonna be working on the JV field, hopefully. It's in the works. And if we get the bicentennial track going, that whole area is gonna be, a gem for the town, my
I
opinion.
agree.
I agree.
And it's no new taxes. So I don't see anybody really complaining about it down the road because it's CPA funds.
I agree. I do have a bit of hesitation, especially prioritizing it for our Maytown meeting. Just because of the number of projects that Dave still has open.
Yes, maybe we can have a discussion with him to move this up. Because where there's a grant, I don't know if there's grant money on the Butterfly project. Because he had issues with that and didn't we rescind those funds? And that's why he's reapplying.
We never rescinded funds from him, no.
Oh,
That,
This never
that-
made it, so this didn't, he submitted it, but he didn't submit the final app in time.
that would be my only concern is that if we are in some sort of time constraint for the matching grant. But other than that, I think we should, plan accordingly.
All right, does someone want to take that to reach out to David to find out what the timeline is on the matching grant?
I can do
I
that.
can certainly do that, but
Oh, all right, Charlie.
yeah, just Joe, because we're gonna talk about a couple other things coming up and,
Yeah, you have a rapport with him, so that's fine with me.
well, I just only because I'm gonna be talking to him about a couple other things and the rest of the board on a couple other things. So I think that if we can just, it'd be just easier if I hit him with all of it.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And then finally, the additional funds for the Butterfly Park. So we did fund 38,500 in 2020, 4 years ago. He's asking for an additional 55,000 to complete this project. I have reservation providing additional funding when the initial 38.5 doesn't appear to have been used at all.
Be nice to have an itemized list, especially with the way the project with the little park next to town hall went.
Right.
I would agree. And I can jump in anytime, Steve, you want me to let me know.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Dave reached out to me, earlier this week and they're planning on starting the rail trail, crossings for the last two crossings on the rail trail. He reached out to me and let me know that, since, that submission, there's also been a huge increase in some of the materials. So his plan currently right now is to do all of the work. But the only part of that project that will not be complete is the automatic bollards that are triggered when somebody walks up to them. Now he's gonna pre-wire everything and get everything set so that we can just set the bollards. But right now, we don't have enough money for the bollards because they've gone up in price from the supplier. So what I'm hoping to do is kind of, like you said, Tom, get a itemized list of what we've spent. Because the grade crossings was 86,000 in the last project to finish the rail trail so that all of the rail trail had the correct crossings. So I think we need to talk to him and get a detailed list and itemized list spreadsheet of what's been spent where. And not that I don't trust what Dave's doing, he's doing amazing work, but I think it would
Absolutely.
be helpful for us to see it, you know, in black and white, for us to see it and kind of process it on a, in that mindset. So I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I think that, you know, we should kind of do that.
Yes, after the town hall, where we had given them a lot of money and then overruns, it'd be better for us as members because I got a lot of questions on when that happened and why. And it was difficult to answer it, cost overruns. That's all I could tell people. So, yes, I agree with you. We need a line item budget of what he spent and where and for what. I agree with you.
And like I say, it's not that I think Dave's doing a great job. I know the cost of materials has gone crazy, but I mean, I want to see that so that, you know, maybe we can put pressure on the supplier and say, hey, listen, this project was approved here and, you know, for this amount, and we understand that that stuff goes up, but can you work with us and with some of it? You know, I don't know, maybe that will work, maybe that won't work, but I'd like to, I think for the rail trail project, and I just got to confirm it, he's looking for another 26,000 for the bollards. I think that's total. I hope it's not per crossing, but I got to confirm that.
But we
And
don't
he
have an
has a
application on that.
We do not have an application on that, no, because I just found out the other day, because he, like I said, he called and said they're going to start the work this week. The weather's been favorable, so they're going to start doing all of the work. And when he started laying out the plan for the work, he got the prices back from the supplier, and the supplier is like, yeah, these have gone up X amount. So,
So I want to be careful on precedent we set, because a lot of how I've justified timings of things is based on our precedent
okay,
and how we act on and why we had to decline Dave's applications last year. You know, we all agreed to make a special provisioning for these articles due to our lack of meeting, and that we're going to move some of these forward in lieu of final app. The others, we will, you know, we will still expect a final application to certify it, because we can always strike articles from town meeting, but it's really, we worry about publishing and printing. We need to get it on the list if we decide it's worthy to get on the list, just at least an idea. We still need to take it through the process. For the others that we're going to push towards special town meeting in the fall, it follows that same guideline. We need a little more time to review final application. But there may be an argument to make here that because prices went up, we could make a special argument for a special town meeting, but it would need to be in the fall since we don't have
yeah,
an application.
I agree 100%. I think the fall is the only way to handle that. But I think that if Dave, and my understanding is he's going to do all of the prep work. So literally all they would have to do in the fall is just go and place the bollards. So all the electrical work will be done, all the conduit will be done, all the footings will be poured. It'll be just a matter of going and placing those. And I think that it's the supplier that actually places those. So I agree. Fall town meeting would be my recommendation as well.
Did he already purchase the signals?
I'm not sure. I would have to ask him, but I can find out.
I worry that it's just gonna keep ballooning. So yeah, I think on all of these projects that we've already provided funding, we need itemized lists and expectations. And I would say even timelines at this point.
Okay, I would agree with that. If you want to put that in a form of motion, I'm okay with that. If not,
I'm gonna document it on the spreadsheet here, and then we'll put it in a motion.
okay.
You know, itemized on the project.
Oh. I like to add-
Application.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I just so Pete can hear what we're saying. Itemized list on this project application. Submitted. And timeline. Go ahead, Joe.
I just want to bring it to everyone's attention that Dave is also putting in an article for crosswalk repairs, because there was a person that was hit on Pleasant Street in a wheelchair, and he was at finance at the same time the park commissioners were. And he was talking about doing all the crosswalks over, making them like a speed bump thing. And also where you can see the crosswalk lines. It's kind of gonna be angled a little. You follow what I'm trying to explain? So
Yeah.
he might be working to do this at the same time. So that's another thing, Charlie, you might want to touch base if he's coordinate all this work at the same time. That's if he gets his article passed.
Yeah, he did mention that to me, that he is, in addition to all the work that we've done on the crosswalks so far, he is doing that. They're gonna be made into speed humps. There are gonna be some different lighting on them, to make them more visible. So, I think that the rail trail project is gonna move forward, but you're right, he is also, gonna do that to the crosswalks, which I think is a great idea.
The sidewalks on Pleasant Street are abysmal too. So I'm not sure if that has to come first or not. That's
Okay.
not Community Preservation Act, but just me knowing, walking on that street myself, that, you know, if a guy in a wheelchair is trying to traverse just the sidewalk, you know, that's an accident waiting to happen.
This was on Plain Street that he
Oh,
was
Plain. Oh, Plain. I thought you said Pleasant.
I might have,
In that case, okay.
yeah, Plain Street it was. Sorry.
Does anyone want to outright, I don't want to see you outright deny any of these articles. I think all of them have some merit, but so anything I'm putting a 9 next to are things that need to be taken back and they need to be refined. So,
Clarified.
yeah, so rail
defined,
trail
yeah.
additional funding, obviously, we don't have an application, so we need some refinement. I'm okay with moving these for anything with a 9. In theory, and if I don't hear disagreement, I'll assume consensus that if it's a 9, they're eligible for us to put forward in special town meeting in the fall, but they need serious work. So for rail trail additional funding, we need itemized list on the project, application submitted, and a timeline. For the electrical first floor renovation at the GAR hall for meeting, bathroom, and kitchen, I have as a 9. We need more detail about period correct features to qualify, and in theory, I'm okay with that being submitted as part of a final application. Same thing with electrical fixtures at JR Hall for the climate controlled room. In theory, I'm okay with that being submitted for special town meeting in the fall. It needs to be more fleshed out. We need a full plan, written agreement to house from Hearts of Post. But it needs to be a full temperature controlled plan.
It may be possible that it's just electrical fixtures for the main part of the GAR. I know that Jim has mentioned the whole thing about the 3rd floor for the climate controlled room, but I'll ask him just to make sure his proposal.
Well, he has two separate proposals.
Okay,
One's for the first floor, one's for the 3rd floor.
right. The only one that jumps out at me is the Butterfly Park, where you gave them 38.5, now they want another 55.
Yeah. So
That
I'm
just-
going through all the 9s right now.
Yeah, that's of all the 9s, that's the one that bothers me.
So that one, we said no work's been completed yet. We want to see an itemized list of what's been spent so far and what's remaining. And I'll add and timeline.
Hmm.
Again, we're not ruling these out definitively for potential special town meeting in the fall, but and obviously that comes with the stipulation that town attorneys approve of our reasoning for these being emergent, or why they need to be reviewed at a special town meeting, but I don't see that being an issue. because we do it all the time with other expenses that just don't make the town warrant. All right, I'm gonna get rid of the threes because I kind of changed how I was doing this. The twos, I think, are slam dunks for a special town meeting in the fall. And I'll review them, but they do need, obviously, we need to go through the process. We need the final application and all that stuff. Spring Lake land use study. I think it's fine. We did it for Hearts of. I think it makes sense to do it there. We just acquired it. GAR sketchbook, I'm gonna change that to a 1. I think that's hugely important. I think it's a huge asset that the town has, that, as Tom mentioned, is just sitting there, and to restore it is important, but I think to digitally preserve it is even more important, because then it will be accessible by anyone in the town or anyone anywhere. I think that's huge. You know, even this is my personal input on this, but if it could be housed online, you know, outside of having to go to the library to see it, I think it would be even better. But that's, again, not for us to decide. It's just my 2 cents. So I think that we should get for town meeting this in May. So the 2s, Spring Lake use, and headstone restoration, I think it's very important, but I think we push that to the fall. Phase 3 restoration of the Tramp House, I agree with Tom's assessment that any delays that we continue to put off there will just negate the work that's already been done, and it's short money. Sketchbook, I said a 1, so we try to get it for this year. Veteran Tree Memorial, I have as a 1 with a but, and it depends on if there is a contingency on the grant. If there's a timing contingency on the grant. So I'm going to, you know, assuming we have agreement and a motion on this at the end, I'm going to submit this to Doug to put on the warrant. But
You too.
with the stipulation that the grant is time locked. If it's not, I would like to apply the, you know, some of the same stipulations here, you know, a timeline. Because all of these other apps, if you go back, they're, you know, to be completed summer of. That ADA park was summer of 2020. And I don't think any of us thought that it would go past 21. Same thing with the park in front of the town hall. That was submitted in 2020. And it got completed in 2023 with additional funding requested. What I don't want to see is this to be another one that is submitted now, we get the grant money, and it sits for another 3 years, and now they're coming back for another 30.
And the prices increase.
Right.
The only thing I will add about the one at Dunkin' Donuts, that's the one we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the only thing I'll add about that is that there was a real problem, I guess, with the previous landowner. He was not in favor of doing anything with that property. I think Dave submitted it and thinking that the landowner would be fine. And then the landowner was like, no, I want nothing to do with it.
I thought the
So-
town owned that property though.
I think that it owns some of it, but there was something with the landowner, the
Okay.
previous landowner had an issue with it.
Yeah, it has to
And-
be, it has to be on town property.
Yeah, there was something with the previous landowner.
So then I would go further to make sure that that's cleared now. If that was a barrier before, because the way it was presented, there's town-owned property, both the rail itself and where they house the dumpsters was town-owned. And
Thought
that
it
was
was
the
part of
plan.
that parking lot too.
So
Right.
there could have been pushback from the landowner because of he was worried about the traffic there with his business. And now that that's changed ownership or occupancy, I think maybe that was where the project came back into play. I could be wrong, but I will get a clarification.
So really, yeah, a lot of clarification is needed for that, but for the trees, I think it's important that, if we're gonna push this forward for May, that it needs to have a time restraint on that grant. Otherwise, I want to detail, I think we need to see a detailed time plan, a
Yep.
project plan for where, or not a detailed project plan, but some commitment to when this will get done,
Right.
because I
I
don't want
agree.
to see overages.
I know overages are not where we want to be with any project.
And it's rare that we see requests on overages, and it's troubling that it's all coming from the same requesters. And again, nothing to disparage Dave. He does so much for this town. I think it's more of just too much. Dave's a great resource for the town and does wonderful things for this town. I don't want it to sound like I'm disparaging him. I'm not. It's just, we need to be mindful of where we spend our money and when. And I'll send this spreadsheet out to all you guys too, so you have it. Okay. All right. So to put forward for May, we have Phase 3 restoration of Tramp House, GAR War Sketchbook, Veteran 24 Tree Memorial, Bicentennial Park Replacement Study. And then with that, the disposition is that we don't have that application, Joe, so we need a copy. Hopefully you have a stamped copy or something that you can provide.
I'm
But
pretty sure I gave it to you, Steve, but I
all
will
right, I'll
look at my
So
paperwork after I
Steve
get off the
to
phone.
look for.
Also, Steve,
I
do you
can
mind?
get you a copy.
Steve, you
And
just-
that figure that I put on the application came from Doug.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that is still a good estimate of the cost.
I'll ask him on that, so I could give him some numbers too. And I'll mention that number was what he recommended.
Yes, he asked me the other night when we
Actually.
at finance meeting, and I told him, he thought it was 15. I said, no, we bumped it to 20. So the original price was 15, and that's not adding our buffer in that we usually do.
He doesn't have, what he said to me, he doesn't have any numbers on. So, okay. That is fair.
Steve, do you mind just throwing a highlight on the ones that we're going to put through to me?
Yep. And this one.
No, that one's not. I think that's for fall, isn't it?
Well, you're still gonna talk to Dave
Oh,
on it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um. Okay, and then I did go back and look to see what we had as of October 25th. Let's see if this comes in right. Good. Let's do this. Graph funds. So as of October 25th, 23, we had 164,662 in historic, 166,303 in housing, 119,702 in open space, and then 424,209 in reserve. So if we look at what's been requested that we want to push through immediately, we're looking at 85,500. We have plenty of money to cover it. That's why I kept saying I'm not concerned about cost. We have plenty in our reserve on all of these. Historical can easily pay for, you know, what we're trying to put forward here. And that's why I want for a climate controlled room for the historical commission's documents. It's like, let's put together a full plan. Let's, create that room because we can afford it. And then we'll get additional receipts for 2025, which is when the special town meeting funds will be drawn from. So we'll have even more funds coming to us. And even if we look at the trending of surcharges and it goes down, I can't imagine it goes down below 63,000. So we'll have additional funds. Plus there's usually some state matching that happens, although some of that was cut, I think, due to the some of the housing that the states has had to do this year for the asylum seekers. So one more time, and I'll take a motion after I'm done. We're going to prioritize for the Maytown meeting Bicentennial Park Replacement Study, the 24 Tree Veterans Memorial, the GR War Sketchbook digitization, all that. The Phase 3 restoration of Tramp House.
The sketchbook includes restoration too, not just digitization.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion on moving those articles previously mentioned to town meeting floor for the May town meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Who made the motion? Sorry,
I did.
Charlie. And seconded by Tom and Joe. All right, roll call. Pete. Calling it abstention. He's still on the call. But he's having a problem with his mic. Charlie.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
And myself. Unanimous, one abstention.
I found my draft application.
Okay. Yeah, if you would, Joe, could you pop by town hall and just make a photocopy of that and drop it in the mailbox?
Yes. It's
20,000 on
scribbled.
there?
It's got
I don't care. I probably have. If you say you gave it to me, I probably have it.
I
I
have
just didn't-
cost unknown, final cost unknown,
Okay.
20,000.
We'll call it 20. And then I don't think we need to take motion on the 2s and the 9s. Because we have time to work through those. Okay. Any other discussion on projects?
It's nice to have a lot of these applications though.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have it somewhere, Joe. My apologies.
All right.
Back to the agenda. Bicentennial replacement study. I think we've sufficiently discussed that. Any other comments on that?
No.
No. Okay. Norwell CPC messages and requests. So Norwell spun up their community preservation Committee and received some communications from their chair, and I'll read it in here. I got a reach out from Kristen Ford, who is their admin for a few of their departments, including Community Preservation Committee. I got an email from Bob McMacken. Hi, Steve. Thanks for getting back to Kristen. My name is Bob McMacken. I'm a chair of the Norwell Community Preservation Committee. We're in the process of developing a CPC plan for Norwell. The Community Preservation Act advises that each community shall study the needs, possibilities, and resources of the city or town regarding community preservation, including the consideration of regional projects for community preservation. As a first step in developing a plan, we have surveyed 110 primary CPA stakeholders in Norwell, Concom, Recreation, Town Manager, Historical Society, Community Housing, etc. As our second step, we would like to meet either virtually or in person with the CPCs of each abutting community, Hanover, Hingham, Marshfield, Pembroke, Rockland, and Situate, to discuss possible areas of collaboration, and then conduct a brief survey of the membership of each abutting CPC. Our final step prior in preparing the plan will be to present at town meeting and then conduct a survey of town residents as to their views of CPC and projects they deem priorities. I'm collaborating with Norwell CPC member Marion L. Wall in developing our surveys and preparing the plan. If possible, either Ms. Wall, myself, or both of us would like to attend a Rockland CPC meeting, virtually or in person, to explain our CPC plan development process, discuss possible collaborative projects, and arrange a time to survey the Rockland CPC members. I expect we would only require 10 to 15 minutes of your committee's time. The best days for us to meet are Mondays or Wednesdays. We would happily meet at any other time that fits your schedule. All the best, Bob McMacken. I got that in January, understandably, because of what I mentioned previously, and knowing that we were coming to town meeting. I did not invite him to today. I wanted to socialize the idea with you guys. I further got another email from Kristen Ford on March 5th. Good afternoon. As you know, the Community Preservation Committee of Norwell is conducting an exciting survey to surrounding town CPC members to get feedback for the CPA plan. We would appreciate it if you would please forward your CPC members' emails so that we can send the survey directly to them. We plan to send the survey on Monday. We appreciate your help, and we're excited to share the results. Please let me know if you have any questions. I responded, let me take it to the committee to get their permission before I share their personal email addresses. Does anyone have any objection with me sharing your email addresses?
I'd rather have them come to a meeting because I don't want to be pressured by other towns on what we do in Rockland. I don't understand what this is about. If you shed a little bit of light on it, I'm not
Yeah,
following.
I'll
what
give you
they're
my
looking at.
interpretation. And I do agree that we do bring them here to talk about it. I think we've taken a very different approach where we've kind of opened it up to anyone in the town. We haven't set forward a CPC plan per se. We're taking any application, any worthy project and moving it forward. And that's worked for us so far. It sounds like Norwell is taking a different approach where they're taking input up front, prioritizing, and moving forward on projects that way. We've never had the need to proceed that way. Maybe they do. And I haven't looked, but maybe there's some abutting properties that with Norwell that make sense to collaborate on. And maybe they have some ideas, and I'm happy to hear them. But this is what I meant earlier when I said, our simplistic form versus a more complex form of committee. I'm okay giving my email for a survey. I think surveys, we did it with the Hearts of Use plan. They sent out surveys to the townspeople that could be filled out. I'm not sure why a link wouldn't suffice, but maybe that's whatever program they're using to gather the survey information requires direct input.
Are you guys aware of how their CPC got in trouble years ago?
Oh, no.
Yes.
They use CPC funds to do sidewalks
Oh,
on
right.
123 Main Street, and then they got sued. I'm wondering if they're getting a lot of pressure from whomever, and they want to say, well, let's see how their other towns do things. and maybe we can amend our policies or whatever. That's my take on it.
Okay. And that makes sense. Or maybe they're just being more refined and strict on how they move things forward. It
Could
could
be.
just be new members, new chair, new agenda.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can entertain listening to them, but giving out all our emails at this time, I don't think it's appropriate. That's all.
I'm okay with that. What I'd propose to them, and it sounded like they wanted to do this for their town meeting. I don't know that we're ready for that. Ideally, I'd also love to talk to the Whitman committee as well, especially as it regards to the Girl Scout property. Because there is definitely an opportunity to collaborate there. I want to pull up the map, the interactive property map, and just look at our abutting with Norwell to see what might exist.
Off
We
the
can
top of my head, I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's all private. Pond Street Conservation Area, they have some stuff here. But that's all landlocked, it seems, for us. But it's all wetland anyway. That is it. Because then you get to Hanover. Anyone have any information about this Pond Street Conservation Area out off of Pond Street in Woodland Drive?
Not really.
I know it's very wet back here. I think I went to a party at one of my son's friends' houses off of Meredith Way. And it is very, very wet. So I can't imagine there's much doing back there. It would be interesting to hear what they have to say, and maybe you're right, maybe it is just to try to get a better idea of how we process things. But like I said at the beginning, it's a lot of what we've done is very simple. It's take an application, run it against the tests to see if it qualifies, and then move it forward to the town. And then following precedents that we've set in the past to dictate how we move forward.
Hmm.
I
And
would
until we
say
get in
just-
trouble. But I don't
I
think we
say
will, 'cause I
info-
think we're pretty good.
I just say, invite them to the next meeting.
Yeah.
All right, I will extend an invite to the next meeting.
Would it be in person or,
Until we have an ad, well, that's our next topic. Until we get an admin, ideally we continue on Zoom, because then they're recorded.
okay, Makes
I
sense.
did try, actually, for this one, I did try to get an in-person meeting. Mostly out of respect for my opening statements. But there were no rooms available. And I wanted to get something done Thursday, but the clerk's office was closed due to the election on Tuesday. So I didn't have anyone to post an agenda.
Well, if you get stuck like that again, I don't think Pete would mind if you wanted to hold it up at the park.
You know, I did think about that and doing it down at the park, maybe when the weather's a little bit nicer. But you're talking about the shed,
Talking at the garage.
yeah, the garage.
That's
Alright.
up to Pete. He's the
Yeah.
one that has to be there, open up.
All right, final item is restart the admin hiring process. So this kind of fell to the wayside because we were scrambling. We started talking about it. We had some applicants. Then we had to kind of scramble for the housing proposal for Holy Family, which, by the way, they got their state funding match, which is great. And we hadn't met since then. I had conversations with the HR director in town, throughout that process. Initially, I had intended for us to go into private session to discuss and make a decision. I was advised that we can't do that. If we're going to discuss the applicants, it needs to be in an open meeting. However, there is another way we can go about the hiring process, and that is I can appoint someone to manage that process individually. And knowing how things went the last time, I'm inclined to proceed that way and appoint someone to go ahead and work with the HR director. Ideally, I would say see if the 3 individuals that initially applied are still interested, and make a decision from one of those. If not, to repost the job. The HR director is leaving at the end of, and this is public, it's been announced now to all the town, the town heads. Let me see when she said she was leaving.
I think next week.
Yeah, and so Eileen Hickey is now the contact. Yeah, no, April 3rd. She's here
April
through
3rd?
April 3rd. Yep. But any decision, we need to work with Eileen Hickey, and I can work with that. But I would put it out there, first to Joe, because Joe, you had started this process before I had known that I could just appoint and continue that on to make that decision. To see if, and I know you have a little bit more time than the rest of us. Do you?
Yes.
Would you
I can
mind
follow up with, I can
following
follow,
this through?
yeah, Stacy, before she leaves, because she asked me, I believe it was a week and a half ago, where we were at, and I said, weren't meeting, and I didn't know how to answer the question, so I can follow up with her. Today's Friday, Monday,
Yeah.
and see if we can see if they're still available, those applications. And do you want to interview them again, or you just want to go over them again? You know,
Well, no, I don't. That's the thing is, if I'm going to appoint someone to continue forward and with the hiring process, is that we don't need to interview them again. It
Okay,
would be
so-
on you to make that decision whether or not you would want to interview them again, and then to make the decision.
oh, fine. So in other words, I already have my decision.
So we just need to see if they're interested
Yes.
still. So that's the other way of going about this, rather than dragging it out and getting it. We just need to get someone in here, and if it's not working out, we can always pivot and move on to someone else.
See if they're still interested, and if they are, proceed with hiring them.
Right. Stacia had some ideas about pay. I guess is a standard rate. I forget what she said it is. But she knows
Like-
those numbers. I think it's $150 a month or something along those lines. But we do have a backlog of meetings, and so that needs to be negotiated. Something, realistic.
Yep.
I think the assumption that the whatever it was, say it's 150. I think it's 2 meetings a month, and so it's a couple, whatever the hours works out to be, but it's essentially a set fee. So if you assume whatever that fee is, and you assume 2 meetings a month, then we would look back to say, we would pay you for that rate per 2 meetings past meetings transcribed.
So how many meetings that were backlogged on minutes?
I don't have that number offhand.
So why don't we do it per backlog minutes? So if there's 10, divided by 10, and each one is.
Because of the way, I guess that this is all, and you could talk to her about it. This is based on my conversations with her. That it's based on months' work. So they don't really, because they really haven't had this before.
All right,
So they had to go
she can,
back.
she can walk me through it because
Yeah,
she,
have her walk you through it. As long as it's reasonable, I'm amenable. We have the funds to be able to spend on the backlog and the go forward.
plus on the advertising, it was all laid out in there what the fees were, I believe,
I don't think so.
for the job description. No,
I don't think so.
it's been, it's been like 8 months, so I have to refresh myself.
Yeah. Actually, do I have it? I think I still have it. I saw it earlier when I was getting my notes ready.
I can't even throw out a figure because totally forgot what everything else I'm doing.
I know. I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, work with Stacia and what was the other one? She'll tell you who it is. Eileen Hickey. On a go forward basis, and we can just get them in here, get them working and get us caught up. I think these recorded meetings have been our godsend and why we probably haven't been dinged for not having minutes out there. Which I think is a resident having a video to go to and look at is much more beneficial than filing a freedom of information request to get minutes.
However, the town clerk will definitely want the meeting minutes.
Oh,
but-
no, I'm getting plenty of emails from the town clerk asking for those minutes.
Hmm.
I agree with you, though. I mean, there aren't many good things that came out of COVID. Zoom has definitely really changed the game when it comes to some of this stuff, which is good.
Right. I think we have an extension to 2025 is, if I remember correctly. Check that.
Gotta grab my plug. Hold on.
Yeah, let's see if I can. See if I could find the extension. I can't find it right now. I know it was extended.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
My laptop is gonna die.
I can't find it. When I believe it's, I know it was extended. So we're still good on that. So Joe, I appreciate that. And we'll go forward on that. I'll be in touch. I'll get these things over to Doug. We should meet again pretty soon. We'll want to advise for final applications, especially on the number ones, so the ones that we're moving forward. So Joe, I'll need you to begin working on a final application for Bicentennial. Charlie advised that if there is a time restriction on the grant for the trees, that Dave work on the final application for that. Tom, if you could take back to Pam Ryan and Jim Paul to get final applications in on the GR War sketchbook and
What's the due date?
as soon as possible.
Okay, so like within a
We're,
month.
we're making some exceptions due to our lack of meeting.
Mhm.
We definitely want it in before town meeting, ideally well before town meeting.
Sure.
I would say that we should probably meet in about 2 weeks to see what's come out. Hopefully that gives Charlie enough time to talk to Dave. Gives Joe enough time to work with HR to see if we can get someone in here. and see if we can get Norwell CPC engaged.
My plan is to try to meet with Dave on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'll hopefully get that done sooner than later.
On bicentennial application, I'll be on hold until I get that study back, correct?
No, you have to, so you're doing an application for the study, because we have to fund the study first. And then we'll get the study back. And then you will submit a second project to do the work.
Correct, but I need that study back first before I can make that application, correct?
The second application, but we still need a final application for the study itself.
Oh. Okay,
And it's fairly simple. It's, it's just a longer form explanation, and it's, again, based on precedent, we require it.
okay. If you can, where will I get that from?
It's on our website. It's on the CPA town website. I can
Send it to me?
why don't I do that? I'll send you all a link to where that lives. So that Charlie, you have it for Dave, Tom, you have it for historical, and Joe, you have it for parks.
Thank you.
Good.
Just want to pull it up so I don't forget. Let's make a note. Steve to send final app link and spreadsheet to the committee. And then, as always, when we're talking outside of open meeting, make sure you respond individually and not to everyone. The only thing that we can converse outside of open meeting as a group is schedule timing and agenda topics. Just a reminder on the open meeting law.
We haven't broken that, have we?
We have not.
Very good.
I intend to keep it that way.
Yes. But there's so many rules in society now, it's hard to keep up with them.
I will try to keep us on track. We lost Pete, so we lost quorum. And with that, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Motion to
Good luck,
adjourn.
guys.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Do we need to?
I think the meeting just ends because we lost quorum.
Oh, okay.
So how about this? I declare this meeting over due to lack of quorum.
There we go.
Okay.
All righty.
Have a good
Thank you,
weekend,
guys.
guys.
Keep up the good work.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.